Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tero Pesonen. I'm from TCCA. Wonderful to have you with us, and with me is Peter Schmitt, 3GPP newly elected CT chair. Welcome, Peter. Wonderful to have you with us today. And with no further ado, I'd like to hand over to you to hear the update on the last 3GPP plenary 99 and maybe some more ideas regarding the future. So go ahead, Peter.
Yes, thank you, Tero, and thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself here in this group. Thank you. So I've prepared some slides. So here you see the first, so this is about CT plenary number 99. In this plenary, I was newly elected as a new CT chair. And I want to give you some kind of overview here. So kind of introduction case, sensory 17 and 18 status, and some extracts on the work, what was approved, and maybe some future consideration about us. And then let's come to the first point. So we had a very low number of corrections for pre-release 17. So this is stable now, and we have only a small number of corrections, and all of them were backward compatible, which is a very good thing. And also the release 17 corrections are going down in all working groups. Release 18, we have approved 23 new work items and revised 12 work items, and we have a number of work items where we have started work, where we have seen the work from stage 2 as stable enough to start the work. So release 17, here you see the short overview, how the numbers are going down. So we had in plenary number 95, we had the stage 3 freeze, and 96, we had the OpenAPI freeze. And after this was also number 96, this was also a period where we got most of the final requirements from stage 2. And after this, we had a number of alignment CRs, and you see now also this is going down in the last releases. Also in this time, we were below 200. And release 18. So in parallel, we started to work on release 18. So now we are in a good mood in release 18 work. As I said earlier, a number of CRs agreed. Maybe I can just give this as an indication. We had also the first TSs and sent for approval on release 18 stuff. And one issue which should be mentioned regarding release 18, we had one proposal to update the 5GZ phase 2 to cover here a new requirement and have a new user plane protocol to solve this new requirement. But this was seen in the plenary that this should be discussed first in the expert group, which is CT1. So CT1 will have a discussion on these enhancements in their next plenary, in their next working group meeting. And then comes to, and also another discussion was on a new work item, which was brought in by MediaTek, that to add here and attach, suspend, and resume for satellite IoT devices. Here's a similar discussion. People would like to see this first to be discussed in CT1, which is an extra expert group for this, and come back after CT1 has agreed on this and come back with this revised versions and to plenary. Coming to the new approved work and study items, so mainly work items. Those, I'm not sure which of them are really useful or have high interest in by TCCA. But I would assume that the work which we are on 5 MBMS, this might be one issue where TCA might be interested. And you see here there's a long number. I do not want to read all of them through. This would take us too much time. There's also one new work item on URI pre-configuration for 5 MBMS. And this is also one of the TSs which we approved already for RIS 18. This is in the CT1 area. And still a number of work items, but I think here you may not have a big interest in TCCA. And coming to the revised work items, 12 is the number. And for this, maybe one work item might be of interest for you. And this is the CT aspects of application layer support for V2X services, phase 3 now. And coming to the work items which we have approved in the last plenaries, deterministic networks. This is also a work item which might be of interest of TCA. Here we are discussing the also based on a work in IETF. IETF has a group called DETNet Working Group. They are also working on this, and they are in their work we are using as a baseline from stage 2 and stage 3 perspective. And so here are some more work items where you might be interested. 5GZ. I know I mentioned this already. There was an indication to enhance it, but we started the work at least in CT3 and CT4. Also 5G browser and mission critical over 5 MBMS, and also RedCap, and also these mission critical for iRail. And this was all for RIS 18. RIS 17, in RIS 17 we also had a number of corrections. I just mentioned here a number of them. They are also in these mission critical services, in the 5G browser area, RedCap, and also narrowband IoT. And what should be for interest also for you is we have agreed a new work item for RIS 17 on update of conformance test specifications. And here means the RIS 17 features, also those which were triggered by TCA, will be incorporated in this TS. And this will be also covered by this work item. And then RIS 19 timeline. This discussion started in SA because SA will also have a workshop in plenary number 100 in Taipei. And the input from CT was simply to say that we should have a common ASN1 and OpenAPI freeze between CT, RAN, and SA. We should not have different free states in these plenaries. The next issue which should be also guaranteed is that we have 3 months between the stage 3 freeze and the OpenAPI freeze. And we should have also a 9 months period to cover the stage 2 requirements in stage 3. So we should have between the stage 2 freeze and stage 3 freeze 9 months. Here we should consider that usually when we are talking about stage 2 requirements and stage 2 freeze, that this is SA2 deadlines. But we also have requirements in stage 3 from SA3, SA4, and SA5, and also SA6. But here, since all these groups are also depending on SA2, on this architecture, and if due to the fact that these groups need some time, they will take 3 or 6 months at least, and this will left CT working groups at least 3 months left over for the stage 3 at minimum. And this is really the minimum we need. Coming to future considerations, we all know that TCA members cannot participate in all the working groups. in CT working groups, so we need to have to get some trigger point for them to get at least the points to cover their requirements. So we need to keep the verticals, especially TCA and 3P, synchronized. So we need to have some trigger points to give some indication what is discussed when. And also, and when this is the case, that the TCA members or the verticals can bring in and check that their requirements are realized as expected. The question is now how we can reach this. One topic could be to use a kind of reporting like it was done in these slides, but not capturing the details of TCA as I would assume it, which needs to be done in future. So, and here's a point is then also maybe we need to discuss what kind and level of details should be in these reportings, and also which kind of subjects or which work items should be captured in this reporting. Because if you have seen, we have more than 50 work items already in release 18. If you would have reporting on all of them, it would take hours to capture them. So here we need to find a way how to limit the numbers and also have a level of detail which is sufficient for TCA members or verticals to make a decision if they should join CT working groups in the next discussion or not. And that completes my summary and the future considerations from last plenary.
Thank you very much, Peter, for the comprehensive coverage there. Indeed, there's a lot happening in CT. In the past years, we have had some worries whether there is enough workforce, in particular in CT1. And how do you see it now from a CT perspective? Obviously, clearly for some of those features, it would certainly make sense for more of our members to be actively participating. But what's the emotion? It seems that say release 17 has passed actually pretty well, and the progress is going rather well also for release 18.
Yes, at least we had in release 17, we had a small delay due to these late arrived requirements. But this we are
as well, probably.
Yeah, COVID really did not speed up.
Yeah,
yeah. These having e-meetings does not really speed up the work.
Yeah,
this is really clear, and we noted this when we had these last face-to-face meetings. I had the impression when I looked into different working groups that all delegates were waiting for the face-to-face meeting to bring up the controversial topics.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is really a good issue that we make also now progress and having faster progress on these controversial topics in these face-to-face meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So am I hearing also that if there are e-meetings, then say if a topic from our sector which is not controversial, it might actually flow pretty well also in the meeting cycle. But indeed, if there are some controversial parts in it, then those generally require the lunch break discussions or,
yes.
or coffee break discussions.
Yeah, if you have, and that's why I want to have these TCA and verticals inside, because if we have sometimes an issue that a requirement could be interpreted in different ways or is not pretty clear, then if you have then the company who triggered this requirement in the room, then they can explain what the intention was, and then you have a more correct interpretation of the requirement. which is and this helps. And also, if you have a controversial topic and you know what others want, then this also restricts the possibilities of having different opinions on it. This helps them to find a good compromise, which is in line with the requirement.
So in other words, here are excellent reasoning and for you, dear TCCA members, to speak with your management and have a good justification why to send someone into CT meetings. In particular, I would say CT1 to explain what the original meaning was. And I suppose that at first one doesn't necessarily have to understand all the working procedures and all the details of CT, simply to understand what you are there for.
No, I think so. And the first point, this is not really necessary. What is important is that the person who is coming knows what they want.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a major issue, and the rest. If these persons then ask questions, the rest comes from the answers and the further detailed questions. But the important first thing is that the delegate who is sent to CT1, for example, knows what they want and have understood their own requirements very well.
So this is the guidance for us in the entire critical communication sector. We need to get our act together and understand what we want from the near future and from longer term future. And obviously in that relation now, considering that the 3GPP TSG plenary 100 is taking place in Taipei in June, there is this most of all essay workshop on release 19 prioritization. So we still have a couple months time to understand what we really want and discuss it and try to find other verticals support on the topics. So I think thank you very much Peter on this. Is there something further you would like to give us as guidance?
Yeah, that's a good point. At least my point was also that we should have a good synchronization between us. At least we had a good starting point, I think. Especially between you, Tero, and me. I think we had a good starting point in the last plenary, and we should continue like this. That if we detect something, that we can give some indications, so that if TCA has some problems with the to send people, that we can give triggers on special points that they we should get in some of these delegates in, especially triggered by if there are some special topics to be discussed.
And of course also prepare those delegates from our membership who are participating, that they have the ability to maybe speak with a slightly louder voice than just their own organization. So absolutely. So thank you very much Peter for joining today, and looking forward to have a new session after the Taipei plenary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tero.